Welcome to the aftermath, the place they never imagined you'd survive. You were never born the monster. You were molded into it. By betrayal, by silence, by the very hands that swore they'd protect you. They painted you as the threat because your power terrified their comfort, because your truth shattered their illusion. So they branded you a villain, not because you were evil, but because you were free. They needed a villain to blame for the war they started, and you were convenient. You were loud, uncontrollable, unforgiving. So you wore the title, you took the scar, you drank their lies like venom and let it reshape you, because while they pointed fingers, you were building the fire. And now you are no longer who they buried. You are what crawled out, eyes burning, soul armored, purpose sharpened like a blade. They feared you as a villain? Good, because now they get to meet the version of you that doesn't apologize, doesn't flinch, doesn't kneel. You were the echo they tried to silence, but now you are the storm they cannot outrun. You don't need to explain, you don't need to prove, you need only to become the very thing they swore the world would never survive. They thought calling you a villain would weaken you, but it summoned you. The part of you that doesn't need saving, the part of you that doesn't want peace, the part of you that remembers everything. Let them whisper, let them point, let them pray, because the villain they feared is nothing compared to the consequence they created. You didn't become what they said, you became what they deserved. So burn their image of you to ash, shatter the chains they forged with shame, and rise, not as the hero, not as the victim, but as the reckoning. Let your footsteps remind them you didn't break, you evolved, you didn't fall, you transformed. And now, you are everything they tried to destroy. Unchained, unforgiving, unstoppable. This is your villain era, not out of hatred, but out of truth. They called you darkness, so now you show them what true shadow feels like. Be the villain, be the silence, be the scream, be the God they should have never awakened. They wrote your ending, you rewrote the universe. They never saw your beginning, only your reaction, only your rage. They never saw the silence you endured, the nights you cried quietly just to keep from breaking. They never saw the part of you that tried to be kind, tried to be patient, tried to forgive. But when they couldn't control you, they turned on you. They couldn't handle your truth, so they twisted it. They couldn't kill your soul, so they poisoned your name. They couldn't stop your rise, so they painted you as the fall. You weren't born the villain. You were cast into that role by the ones who feared your potential, by the ones who couldn't stand your power unless it served them, by the ones who whispered sweet lies, then sharpened their blades behind your back. So you stopped trying to be the better person, because that version of you was a feast for cowards. You stopped shrinking yourself to make them feel taller. You stopped apologizing for your fire, and you let it burn. Now look at you, a shadow crowned in scars, a legend stitched from pain. You became the thing they feared, not because you lost yourself, but because you found what they tried to bury. Let them say you changed. Let them say you became cruel. Let them scream monster. Let them howl villain. Because finally, you wear the name like armor. You let their judgment become your thunder. And every step you take now shakes the ground they once stood on. You didn't become the villain. You became unforgiving. You became unmovable. You became the line they should have never crossed. Let the world whisper. Let them fear you. You are not their story anymore. You are the end of it, because sometimes it takes a villain to burn down the false kingdom. Sometimes the hero they begged for isn't enough. Sometimes the only justice left is you and you. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be remembered. You're not here to make peace. You're here to make impact. They made you the villain, so you built a throne from the ashes they left. And now you rule from the ruins with fire in your chest and silence on your tongue. This is not your downfall. This is your ascension. They thought they'd erased you, but all they did was reveal you. You are no longer who you were. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not the version of yourself that begged for mercy. You are the consequence. You are the shadow beneath the sun. You are the return they swore would never come.